He's a fucking asshole. Ow. I never even suspected that maybe he did it to her. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with another episode of the Apothecary Diaries. I've got notes about episode 14, but first off though, we actually have a board, as we always do. Although I will say, I really need to start figuring out how to get all this mess into a better format. I know I asked for suggestions before, and I think maybe it's more my laziness at this point. Not my laziness, but I don't know. I've got so much shit to do for this channel that sometimes something just falls to the side. In this case, maybe I don't know. I don't know. That's not even the answer either. I don't know what it is. I just need to come up with a more uniform way across all shows to do this concept board thing easier. It was real easy back when it was like the first one, back when I was doing it with Griff a couple of times. So like, hey, I think it'd be easier to keep track of all these characters if we put them on a board, and I'll put like lines between them. I know sometimes I'm the only one that cares about this. Even Griff didn't care back then, but I'm really feeling like one change at a time, I'm coming down on a thing that's gonna work. Like, by the time I'm dead and gone, I will have figured out a way to keep track of anime characters. Until then, we have a board changelog. On the board changelog, I've added the new pure consort, Lulan. I've named Lacan, because they've been named. And I've added Lacan's servant. Very start of the episode when, Lacan is like, oh, look at this. Looks like dust. The guy who was looking for him, going, Master Lacan, that's that guy. Otherwise, really the only change, because, tie these two together, still don't know her name. Think they're going to be important to a jinshi flashback, as per my notes about the opening, but unsure. And otherwise, of course, down here on the other sideboard, added a connection between Lulan and the Emperor. But that is the board. So, going into notes. And I'm going to admit that I had not as many notes about last episode as I have had previous episodes. It very much felt like an obvious series of investigative things, right? I don't have much to say about a lot of that. I suppose I find it a bit confusing that the consorts require education in matters of their own specialty. I thought it was relatively clearly implied how one could possibly rise up in status, and that one could do so without learning the things that Verdigris House could teach seems a bit odd. Granted, this could be a matter of continuing education, but I feel like the start of the episode implied that the new pure consort needed basic education, and for some reason everyone else needed to, or wanted to, sit in. So, Lady Lulan wears a southern style, but looks northern and might be hiding it under makeup. Something the show tells us in its this is just passing info sort of way, but so often it does this for info that will come up again as important to later. So, note taken. The fact that Maomao doesn't seem to care about the equilibrium of the inner palace being achieved makes me think that Lulan is going to be playing politics, and that all this is going to blow up in Maomao's face somehow. I'm not sure what was going on with Jinshi's face after Maomao was educating the consorts. We see him leaning up against the door trying to eavesdrop, but his cheek is perfectly fine. Then, when he walks in after, he's got this bruise on his left cheek that just wasn't there before. and then we pan back to him after looking at the consorts, and it's gone again. I think during the reaction I said, did he get smacked or something? But we don't even hear anything for that. So it's, what is this? It's ironic because I think I've also had the same problem with Infinite Rivas, where somebody in one scene has a black eye out of nowhere, and then it's gone again next scene. So Lulan clearly knows something about Jinshi, as she goes out of her way to regard him before marching off. Maomao is introducing the conceit that the peace could come to an end. Then they animated elements of such a concept, bringing it closer to reality. I always mention it, but Gyokyu was once a foreigner, and has yet to escape my suspicions. To Maomao's theory about the cause of the explosion, to my knowledge, we hadn't seen any dead bodies or reports of injury. The explosion caused debris to rain down around the building, blew the door off, and burnt nearby buildings. I'd suspect that were there a worker inside, he'd be dead. So despite there being the evidence of the pipe, the culprit appears to be missing. Either way, I'm sure no good will come of the fact that Maomao is currently in possession of evidence. And again, like I said, got a few notes. Here's my last one. The guy at the end of the episode, I said this during last reaction, I'm pretty sure is the same guy that killed Kunen. There is the episode where Kunen gets salt poisoning, and then there's the image from last episode. My indications that I think this is the same guy. So I had suspicions about him back in the Kunen episode. He's still around, and again, I think he represents an element of a conspiracy at play. Now, do I have anything else to say about him? I do not, because I have literally no other information. I do not recognize him from any other scene. I have stated before, there is an element of face blindness that goes on with me, to the point where in Madoka Magica, I could not tell a person's mom from a friend. So, but yeah, I think this guy has hair that is extremely similar. Same colored eyes. You could argue that the ears aren't the same shape, but that could just be a perspective issue. I don't know. You could probably just make all sorts of arguments that this is or is not the same guy. My current theory is it's the same guy. That said, though, those are all of my notes. That is the board. There's nothing left to do but to go ahead and hop on in and see if Lulan is going to kill everybody, because I don't know what's coming.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Just a minor note. I do miss the first opening. I was more of a fan of the first opening. Maybe not. I don't know visually. Musically, I like the opening of the first arc. The music was better, I think. And that's not saying that this is bad. Again, this is like when we talk about doing the character rankings or comparing different shows in a series that's very good. There are different grades to diamonds and gold, right? You can objectively have worse gold than better gold. This is a good song. I just don't think it's as good as the first one. There is also an element here that I think everything that I've pointed out, or not everything, almost every, but say the same thing. A lot of the stuff that I pointed out from the opening, the first episode we had the opening, has come to pass already. Like, what I anticipate to be Jinshi flashback stuff has not. lacking, regretting something that happens. Obviously has not. But I'd say maybe a third, a fourth of the stuff in the opening has already happened.
それがどうも噂によると下女が事件解決に一役買ったらしい。下女？jinshi様の部屋付きの下女だ。
Is Lacan just like in the background of every scene?
jinshi様といえばこの前六召喚の妓女を見受けしたんだろう。なんでも知的で冷たい目つきの美女だとか。見た連中が騒いでたぞ。ラカン様。その話。
Again, I anticipate him being like a tactician or a strategist. Or a strategos, as they're called in Escaflowne, apparently.
シャオマオ、ちょっといいでしょうか。
ガオシュン様、どうしたのですか？
見てもらいたいものがあるのですが。
古い事件の資料ですね。10年前の商家でフグのナマスに当たって食中毒が起きたと。
I mean, pufferfish. Why would you even eat pufferfish? If you're not Maomao, why would you even eat pufferfish?
今度その手の料理屋に連れて行きますから。
これがどうしたのですか？
昔、私がこの事件について仕事で関わっていたことがありました。これとよく似た事件が最近起こったということで、元同僚に相談を。
Lock-on, okay. I was wondering how this was all going to tie together.
フグのナマスを食べて昏睡状態に陥っているのですよ。
昏睡状態。申し訳ありません、ガオシュン様。それは私が聞いてもよろしい話でしょうか？
問題ありません。シャオマオは自分の立場をわきまえていますから。
You know, typically not a word of praise.
それに今さら。
You're someone who knows their place is typically. Well, you say to someone who's about to kill you.
今回ナマスにはフグの皮と身を湯引きしたものを使っていたそうです。それを食べて昏睡状態に陥ったと。
フグの身ですか？毒が多いのは肝などの内臓ですが。
ええ、皮と身です。
I guess also implying that this was a place that knows how to make pufferfish and doesn't typically make this kind of mistake.
別におかしな点はないのでは？
それが今回の事件も前の事件も料理人はフグを調理に使っていないと言い張っているのですよ。
面白そうな話ですね。
共通点はそれだけではありません。 倒れた2人。今回の役人と前回の商人は共に美食家で珍味を好んでいました。
I guess there's also an element that if you were trying to poison somebody, then poisoning a dish that already contains pufferfish would seem like an obvious path.
内臓や皮がすべて発見されたことから肝は食べていないと判断されました。2つの事件の料理人は共にフグは 前日の料理に使ったもので、ナマスには別の魚を使ったと無罪を主張しました。しかし、証人となる人間がいなかった。役人は料理をすべて食べ終えた30分後、中毒症状を起こして倒れ、痙攣していたところを発見されました。
案外しっかり調べてるんだな。適当な調査で犯人をでっち上げるろくでもない役人もたくさんいるのに。
どう思われますか？
症状はフグの毒みたいですが、今の話だけでは何とも。
I guess you could only really
ガオシュン様、もう少し情報を集めてきてもらえますか？
infer the stuff from the past beyond what Gaoshin already researched. Meaning you could only focus on current events.
今の季節なら生ゴミを数日置いていたとしてもおかしくはない。別の魚を使ったという話も 残りカスが見つかっていて矛盾はない。
何の話をしてたんだ？さすがにその顔は俺も傷つく。ガオシュンの話をやけに熱心に聞いていたようだな。
面白い話なら人は耳を傾けるものですから。
おい、ちょっと待て。 お前俺の話はよく途中で。
それでは遅くなりましたので
As
帰ら
per.
せていただきます。
おい、まだ話は終わってない。
あらあら、動かないで。ほら、じっとして。
シャオマオ、昨日の話ですが。
I still think it's interesting, and I'd put this down in my notes, but very specifically said, I'm not going to have you do anything servant jobs. And all throughout now, she's just doing servant jobs.
湯引きした魚に細切りの野菜を加えて酢で和える。ナマスの作り方に特におかしなところはないですね。
酢の配合は何種類か書かれていますが、材料は詳しく書かれていません。
おそらく季節によって手に入る魚や野菜が変わるからでしょう。
Or unless this is a hidden poisoner's handbook?
何を使って作ったかがわかりませんね。
わからないのか？
話に加わりたいらしい。
で、何がわからないって？
お食事前ですから。
わかっている。
You're not my mom. My mom just got kicked out of the palace.
事件が起きたのは
1週間ほど前です。
冬場の野菜となると、ナマスの材料は大根か人参といったところですか？
それが海藻を使ったと言っていまして。
海藻ですか？
海藻です。
珍味を好むと。
Yeah, it's a gourmand. You already covered that.
海藻を入れることもあるだろう。もしよろしければ、その家の厨
Is it
房
going to be
を
a,
見せ
some
て
sort of
もらうことができ
combination
ませんか？
of things? Like a rare poisonous seaweed combined with pufferfish?
ガオシュン様からここに来るようにと言われたのですが。
バセンだ。話は聞いている。
マオマオです。
これから屋敷に向かうが、お前はあくまでも私のお付きだ。いいな、勝手なことはするなよ。
わかりました。
Weird horse.
向こうに行けば屋敷の
That was...
厨房を案内してくれる。
I don't know what the hell happened to that horse.
さすが
I
ガオシュン
mean,
様
the art
仕事
style.
が早い。
Some weird there.
それにしても見たことない武官だな。誰かに似ている気がするが。
Well, he doesn't have blue eyes, so he's not the guy I'm talking about before. That's Basun, isn't it?
まあいいか。
Sorry, I missed the introduction. So if that's Basun from way back in the Arc 1, forgive me.
毒の一件以来使われておりません。
おい。
勝手に入るな。出て行け。何をしている。こんな奴らを連れてきたのはお前か。
ちゃんと奥方に確認は取っています。それにこれは仕事ですので。
それは本当か。
入ってもよろしいか。それとも何か不都合でも。
勝手にしろ。
誰ですか？
旦那様の弟君です。
I mean, it's not a good look that he's rushing in trying to get stuff to stop.
奥方様も疲労で寝込んでしまい、弟君が屋敷を取り仕切っていまして。
I mean, it instantly, like, points the finger at him on guilt.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. Basan. It was Basan. Sorry. Like I said, I apologize. I missed the introduction.
他には
Combo of vinegar and seaweed?
これは？
ああ、旦那様が好きなやつだ。お気に入りでよく食べておられましたので、毒はないと思いますが。
嘘はついてなさそうだな。
だそうだ。終わったなら早く帰ってくれ。
そうですね。ご迷惑をおかけしました。
Why are we Is it the pot itself? Like a combination of the pot and the food?
行き下がったとは思っていません。
持ってきたのか。
これ不思議なんです。この海藻が取れる時期にはまだ少し早い。だからといって 塩漬けにしたところで今の時期まで持つものでもありません。
なるほど。
おそらくこの近辺で採れたものではないと思います。例えば交易で南から仕入れたものだとか。
More south
どこ
stuff.
から仕入れたのかわかると良いのです。
Again, they keep pointing the finger south.
分かってくれたらしい。なら私も私のやるべきことをやろ
う。なんだこれは。
屋敷から持ってきた海藻です。事前に2つに分けて水にさらしておきました。なぜjin士様もいるのだろう。
調べたところ、やはり海藻は南方から持ち込まれたものでした。下男の証言では、主人が冬場にその海藻を食べることはなかったとのことでした。
Something happened to it in winter, or he didn't have it in
使っ
winter.
ている海藻と同じ種類で毒のはずがないと。
同じ海藻なら毒がないというわけじゃないんです。もしかしたら南ではあまりこの海藻は食べる習慣がないのかもしれません。美食家の役人の好物だと知った交易商が金になると思ってわざわざ地元民に海藻の塩漬けを作らせたとしたら。
それのどこが問題になるのだ。
世の中には毒が無毒になることがあるんです。
Seasonally poisonous?
うなぎには本来毒がありますが、血を抜いたり加熱することで食べられるようになります。この海藻の場合は石灰水につけることが必要だったはずです。ここに用意したものは石灰水につけたものと。
I don't know anything about lime water. Is lime water poisonous?
何してる。
大丈夫です。多分。
Oh, is this the apple scene?
ご安心を。ちゃんとオート剤はここに。
Oh, it wasn't an apple, it was a medic.
まんまに言うな。
Okay.
はい。
The scene from the opening, although I guess in fairness, in the opening shows him doing it, and this scene didn't. So the opening is full of scenes not in the episodes, but of the episodes they're in. So
誰でしょうか。取り寄せたのが食べた当人であればある意味自業自得ですが、でももしそうでないなら、食べる習慣のない地方から取り寄せれば危険性が高いのは当たり前です。
わかりました。
ここにいる者たちは賢い。
again, I think it's obviously going to be the brother. The dude was literally having a finger pointed at himself. Methinks he doth object too much.
結局犯人は倒れた役人の
Boom.
弟でした。
I mean, that's not like a, oh, look how smart I am thing. I'm saying it's obvious. It's way too obvious.
動機は次男の自分がないがしろにされて長男を邪魔に思ったからだそうです。よくある話です。
A common story. One wonders if it's gonna be Jinshi's story.
どうやって海藻の毒を知ったんでしょう。
Because that kind of feels like the sort of
酒場で
thing.
横に座った客から偶然教わった。
Was that him from last time?
偶然ね。
Okay.
結局毒の残って
Because that connects it to the guy I was trying to figure out.
それにしても何に使う？あの干からびた虫から伸びた枯れ葉色のキノコ。薬種にしようか、丸薬にしようか。おかえりなさいませ。おかえりなさいませ。
You're doing a number on Jinshi, I feel like.
何事ですか。
私のせいじゃない。
Maybe that's the result. Maybe that's what you would do if you were a eunuch. I mean,
溜まってるんだが、どうにも馬が合わない相手がいて意見が違ってしまうのだ。
jin士様にも苦手な方がいるのですね。
相手は頭の切れる軍部の高官だ。
lacking. It's gotta be lacking.
柄は良いのに、40を過ぎて再退もせず、老い子を養子にとって家の管理を任せている。
Is that gonna be his servant?
40を過ぎた軍部の高官で変人。
興味のあるものといえばもっぱら
Slacking, and now Maomao is going to introduce him to, was it Maomao?
案件の判を押すのを先延ばしにしてくる。どうも標的にされたらしい。このところ毎日執務室に居座られて。
よし、忘れよう。
思い出してもろくなことにならない。
Okay.
しかし、
I thought we were going to use this as an introduction to get more money from the Vertiger's house.
案件はもう通ったはずですが。
冬に花見は難しい。ならばこちらでと思いましてな。
この男の名はラカン。軍師を。
What did I say? I said he'd be a strategist.
かかってくる理由は、六将官に縁のあるマオマを下女にしたことにあるらしい。
そういえば、六将官に昔馴染みがいましてね。
Do you already know Maomao?
色ごとなど全く興味ないのかと思っていたが、どんな妓女ですか？つい聞いてしまった。
いい妓女でしたよ。碁と将棋が得意で、将棋では勝てるが、碁では負けてばかりだった。
軍師殿を任すとは、それは強かった。
I mean, at the same time, though, I have identified that you know who Maomao is by connections, I guess.
身請けも考えましたが、世の中うまくいかないものでね。物好きの金持ちが2人競い合うように値を釣り上げていった。
それは時に妓女の身請け金は利休が一つ立つほどの額になるという。
変わり者の妓女でしてね。
しかしそんな話をして何が言いたいのか。
芸は売れど身は売らず、それどころか客を客とも思わない。客に茶を継ぐ時も下船の民に施しを与えるような。
Oh, he's talking about Maomao.
見ておりました。
Right?
しかしそれにうつつを抜かす物好きもいるもので、かくいう私もその一人なのですが、背筋にゾクゾクっとくる感覚がたまらないものでして。
I mean, the description matches Maomao. We never met Maomao's mother. Is he talking about Maomao's mother?
思っていたものですよ。
And now you sound like an evil asshole.
結局その妓女を諦めきれず、仕方なく少々汚い手を使いました。
というと、
高くて手が出せないなら安くなれば問題ないわけです。
He's a fucking asshole.
下げたんですよ。
Ow. I never even suspected that maybe he did it to her.
知りたいですか？
ここまで来てもったいぶるのですか？
まあその前にちょっと頼みたいことがあるんです。
So it's not going to be Maomao in the opening, like I thought. It's going to be whoever from his
そちら
past.
に最近入った下女というのがなかなか面白いようで、妙に謎解きが得意なようですな。私の知人に宮廷御用達の彫金細工師がいたんですよ。そいつが先日ぽっくり言ってしまった。ちゃんと後継者を指名しないままにね。奴には3人の子供がいて弟子にしていたんですが、秘伝と言える技術を伝えぬまま言ってしまったのが不憫でね。きっと彼の思わせぶりな遺言が何かの手がかりだと思うんです。それが
Crazy little scene this is.
何が言いたいのでしょうか？
いや、何大したことではない。その秘伝の技術を知る術がないかと思ったまでです。例えば、頭の回るそちらの下女が調べてくれやしないものかと。
I don't know if he looks better or worse without the monocle thing on.
とりあえず話だけでも聞かせてもらえないでしょうか？
よく降るな。
I'm thinking Lakan is actually going to be a threat. Sorry, there's thrown a bit because for some reason I feel like I misread the opening 100%. Even though I've been saying this whole time all the shit that I saw in the opening has come to pass so far, I very much felt like Lakan was going to be some sort of sympathetic figure that just needed love or something like that. That, like, he was going to come across Maomao and find some sort of, like, I can't remember the word I'm looking for here. It's, like lost souls, two lost souls in the night sort of thing. But what he just said, that instead of winning the bidding war, I devalued the object that I wanted, and then thinking back to that hand that's all, like, marred and playing in the bed, and again, the creepy shadow in the corner of that shot, it would have to be him, right? So that is not the actions of a unseen ally or somebody who just needed to fall in love. That is the actions of a psycho. I think Lakan is going to be our threat. Okay, so we're gonna keep following on Lakan's whole, hey, can you find the secret of metallurgy for me? Sorry, there was also the aspect of the person he described sounded like Maomao, but the person that we were looking at did not look like Maomao. Like, there's an element there. God, I feel like this is going to be most of my next time on thoughts. Sorry, not next time on. This is going to be most of my notes for next time. There's an element of the dress, the whole outfit looks like what Maomao wore at the Vertiger's house, right? But the person in it did not look like Maomao. Lakan is old, right? He looks old. Anyway, if we've never seen Maomao's mother, no one ever talks about it. What if Lu Men, being ejected from the inner palace or the rear palace, goes to the Vertiger's house, falls in love, has a daughter with a courtesan there, and that courtesan is then bidding war between two men. I don't know what Lumen's ability to bid on anything is, but maybe that's just metaphorical in this aspect. Maybe that's Maomao's mother. And that whole conversation we had before about that one room that Maomao didn't go to, and it seemed like it had some sort of respectful thing or fearful thing or something like that attached to it, back when she was visiting home for the first time in the first arc. Is that where her mother is, or died, or... I'm sorry, this is what it's like when I'm watching by myself and I'm just typing out notes. This is the, like, I think Mr. Monk is seeing all the clues. I think this is all interconnected. I think this is all one thing. And kind of as per a previous viewer, we were watching Madoka Magica earlier today, and they're like, oh, I watched episode 1 of Madoka Magica, and I figured out the whole show from there. I feel like somebody out there is just like, oh, obvious. This is all fucking obvious if you just paid attention. It's like, oh god, I think I am paying attention. I'm really trying, guys. I feel like that's it. That's the major thing from this episode. And of course, as I always say, the beauty of the show's mysteries is that it hits you with these big things, but I'm sure that there are like a dozen other smaller hints to other continuing storylines also dotted in here that they themselves would appear to be inconsequential unless taken within the greater story here. But that's where my head is stuck at right now. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it all at the wall. Throw it all at the wall, and I'm gonna say that my guess right now, before going back to take notes and rewatch and everything, is that Lakan fell in love with Maomao's mother and did something horrible to her to try and devalue her to everybody else that would try to compete with him on it. And that's the thing. Because again, we haven't ever talked about Maomao's family beyond her dad. Sorry. The other thing that I meant to mention that I brought up a couple times as a thing and didn't say anything about is the element that Madam, I guess. I keep thinking I call her Granny sometimes. At the Vertiger's house, dresses up Maomao in that same exact dress. So if her mother was a courtesan at the house, maybe it's some sort of weird thing where Granny is just dressing her up as her mother's, in her mother's gear. That'd be a weird thing, but it feels like what might be being indicated here, the fact that he's talking about the Vertiger's house and the courtesan there, and that then Granny has also shown us that exact outfit before and then put it on Maomao, and that Locken's description of the person so clearly fits Maomao, and that be the transitive nature of character to archetypes in anime to say that the daughter is like the mother, sort of thing. I don't know. Sorry. I am in a heavy ramble, and I think the only thing to do to get us out of the ramble is to go on into Maomao's notes.
Maomao no Hitorigoto.
Alright, seaweed.
Maomao no mame chishiki.
I didn't know lime water was
生で食べ
poisonous.
ると食中毒を引き起こすものがいくつかある。茹でるだけで無毒化できる種類もあるが、今回のように石灰水につけないと毒性がなくなら
Oh,
ない
just exactly the opposite. I took the wrong message
食
from
材ご
that.
との下処理を把握しておくのが無難だろう。犯人は見つかったが不可解だ。10年前の事件と酷似しているのも気になるな。再現しようとしたのか。お帰りなさいませ、ジンス様。
I don't remember much from the one from 10 years ago, other than it was exactly the same.
役人の弟は先の事件の犯人ではなさそうだし。となると、酒場で横に座った客が関係しているのか。いや、憶測で物を言ってはいけない。
She knows about him then.
お帰りなさいませ。そもそも、どうして役人の好物を知っていたんだ。
あの顔をもう一度見るにはどうすれば。
次回、鉛。
I don't think anything.
細工師の遺言とは、また不穏なことが起こりそうだ。
So, Maomao knows about the guy who I took screenshots of and showed you all before. Although, again, the indicator that that guy is the same guy from the Conan Salt Death episode. Like, I think he is. Still interesting to know that she knows about him, although she doesn't bring him up in the show. She only brings him up here. But I think this is still canon. I think this still counts to what Maomao knows and doesn't know. And the idea that this might just be a copy of the thing that happened 10 years ago? I don't know. The thing is that I don't quite remember much detail about the thing that happened 10 years ago. Because I was trying to figure out just basically where we were going with the poisoning thing. You know, that and the element that the whodunit part was so obvious. But granted, it was so obvious because the guy was making it obvious that he had done something wrong and was trying to push them out. It's like guessing that the butler did it in Scooby-Doo, right? You still gotta figure out how they done it. You can't just say the butler did it and arrest all butlers. So I was still on the ride to figure out how it was done. Now, 10 years ago would be... God, this is gonna be for the notes. This is gonna be for the notes because I do know that I have previous notes about things happening in specific years back in time from the current timeline, right? So knowing that, I'm going to have to cross-reference my previous notes, which is again why I sometimes take notes about inane matters, because if they're throwing out details, those details could then be valuable in the future. I just don't know what's valuable right now and what's not. To be sorted by the filter of the search of my notes. That said, though, I think that's all we've got here. I could, again, ramble on and on about what I think Lacan is guilty of. My whole turn about he's going to be an ally, we're going to set him up with a loving relationship, blah, 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 to this guy is fucking evil, and I'm fearful for everyone that's around him now. He is the weirdo that everyone's been posing him to be. You don't devalue a person. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm rambling about my ramble wrap up. We need to just wait till the notes next time, and I'll come back with hopefully something more satisfying than the ramble. So that said, once again, I've been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?